So I took over London Festival then, it was called then, in 1968, and this was 74. So I'd been running it for 6 years, and loving it. I adored the company. They were a mishmash, really, of dancers from different styles, different countries. It was quite an international company. And it was like a family because we used to tour constantly. We had very little rehearsal time in London. And in those days we were using the Donmar studios, they were called. And this particular day when This Is Your Life was sprung on me, my secretary, who I still see and I'm still in touch with, Heather, she had arranged, without my realising it was all for a reason, she'd arranged a lunch with a press person about the company. So we'd had a quite nice, relaxed lunch, and I came back in time. I think it was a 3 o'clock rehearsal of Swan Lake, which I got in about 5 minutes after it had started, and Donald Barclay, my bannermaster, was rehearsing it, and I came in and he got up and came over to greet me, and I thought, that's very odd. He usually just continues the rehearsal. And he came up and he said, "Oh, Miss Grey, there's someone to see you here." And then Eamonn Andrews came from, I don't know where, on the right, and I looked at him and I thought, I know that face. And he said, and I realised it was Eamonn Andrews, and he embraced me. And he said, "Miss Grey, this is your life." And I nearly died. I couldn't believe it. It was absolutely, all the dancers knew it was going to happen, because while I was away at lunch, the camera people had been in with their cameras setting up and everything. And the dancers all roared with laughter at my embarrassment and surprise. Oh, it was wonderful. And then Eamonn whisked me away. I was whisked away to, there were some flats at the back of, well, between Regent's Park and Great Portland Street on that big one-way system which still exists. And I was taken there and given wonderful tea. I remember cream, this, that, and the other. And I was made up, and I couldn't go home to change or anything. So I said, I must ring my husband and tell him what's happening. And they said, no, you mustn't do anything. You just stay here and we shall take you, which they did within an hour or so, to the studios, which were further along in the main road. And there they sort of touched up my hair. I seem to remember meeting Maurice Leonard, and he said, "Now you've just got to enjoy this." And I was pushed on, and Eamonn, the back of a little stage, and there was Eamonn greeting me. And it all started, and all these people came in and said something wonderful. Dazed, really knocked out, quite extraordinary. And what is so wonderful about, or what was so wonderful about the programme, was that all the people involved had known and never said anything. The whole thing was kept totally secret. Just incredible. My son never breathed a word, my husband never breathed a word. It all went very quickly and very effortlessly, and Eamonn Andrews is so warm, it's such a warm personality, so he just controlled you, and you know, everything, and he knew how to talk and make people feel relaxed and happy and at home. It was quite amazing. My husband was the first person to come. Philip, who came from New Zealand at the end of the programme, that was actually absolutely extraordinary. I couldn't believe he had come. He was my last partner, and we would have danced together last, I think, out in... I took a group to Australia about 64, and he would have been in that group. And a teacher I had been to called Audrey Voss since I was 19, who was not in favour with Dame Ninette Valois. She didn't approve of her teaching. And for me, she was the answer to all my problems as teacher. And I was with her until she was taken ill, I suppose in the 60s. I worked with her for years, and they were both on the programme, and it was wonderful afterwards. In a way, I suppose it helped for Ninette to understand some of Audrey's views and outlooks. And I think that antagonism that she had felt, because she didn't, Ninette hadn't understood. And you know, if you don't know something, you only hearsay, you can be very prejudiced. Well, Ninette, with the magnanimity she had, she was Irish like Eamonn. She came to my teacher's funeral when she died, and I always thought it was wonderful. It sort of said, you know, I understand now. And I think it was This Is Your Life that brought that about. It was wonderful, really. Afterwards, you meet all the staff that have done the work, the research, and getting in touch with people, making the arrangements for their journeys, for where they stay, and all that, so that you meet all these people afterwards as well. It was lovely, that's wonderful. And I was very proud that I had Dame Ninette and Dame Alicia on the programme, because Alicia, I used to see on and off after, well, when I was considering leaving the Royal Ballet, I used to go to her and chat about it and ask her, you know, what it was like to be freelance, which she had been most of her life, really, after Diaghilev died. And so, in a way, it was very important for me to have Alicia there, because she'd been a good friend and always was up till her death. I miss her. I miss all of them. Svetlana, who was one of the, in my opinion, great ballerinas at the Royal Opera House. One of the great classical dancers. And Eamonn Andrews, he was such a lovely person. So warm and easy, relaxed, friendly. You felt there was someone in complete control, command, knew what he was doing. And when you think he had to know about everyone that he brings on, all those programs he gave. Oh. You know, there was, there should be a picture of Nureyev there. They had filmed him in, I think, Los Angeles, somewhere in America he was. Yes, they had filmed my very first teacher. I mean, the amount of time and trouble, and just extraordinary. They were wonderful programs. It was an honour to be on it. I've always thought that. Wonderful, wonderful. I would think This Is Your Life was one of my highlights. Last night my neighbour came round to take the waste bin up, which gets collected this morning. And he always does that for me because they're quite heavy and it's difficult on that gravel. And he said something, I can't remember what, and he said, oh, This Is Your Life. No, I bet you've not been on that. No, and I said, well, actually. And he said, what? No, so I said, many years ago, though, not many years ago. But people still remember This Is Your Life. It made a big impression. I was thrilled because they hadn't done that number of programs. I mean, it was really something to be picked out, and you know, for This Is Your Life. And so it was a tremendous compliment, and I was thrilled. I'm so grateful I had a decent dress on.